Profila session. Today we'll be discussing a little bit more about the ZEKE token on Profila and its utility. So we've got in the room with us some of the co-founders and Mitchell, who's a core member of the team doing product management and marketing. So Mitchell, why don't you introduce yourself first, because those who have seen the stream before may have met the rest of the co-founders. Say hi, Mitchell.
Yeah, hi guys. Like Sean already said, I work with Profila. I do product management and marketing management as well. Sort of just aiding in developing little bits of the product and overseeing marketing in general, but help out wherever I can also. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitchell. Mitchell's actually a powerhouse of intelligence and very good writing, and the man who knows how to do just about everything across the whole Profila platform, which is awesome. So cool to have you on with us today, Mitchell. And next is to Michiel, one of the first co-founders in Profila.
Hello, community. My name is Michiel van Rooij. I'm a technology and privacy lawyer and one of the 3 co-founders of Profila.
Cool. A little bit of breakup there from Michiel, but we'll see if that carries on just now. Luke, over to you.
Yeah, Luke Bragg, co-founder of Profila. I also do a little bit of everything, and it's Monday morning, so I'm not happy to be here whatsoever. But Zeke inspired me to be here this morning.
Perfect. Oh, we all love Zeke. So Sean Jensen, also one of the co-founders of Profila, and love product. So let's talk today about the ZEKE token. I think for the audience who managed to see some of our past live spaces and X spaces, Profila itself is solving for privacy. And to do that, we've built a very cool platform, which is now being trialed by several brands, which is like a mashup of Instagram and Salesforce, but with zero bad data, zero surveillance, and zero nudging algorithms. But the premise of Profila is that people need to create a data set about themselves. We've fixated on zero-party data, which Luke will touch on a little bit later. But the principle of Profila is that if you build a quality profiler, then that is the best representation of you that a brand could have. For sure, those who understand data know that people don't always, act the way they say. So in the future, we will allow people to bring in first-party insights into the platform, but we are still starting the project on the basis that people, through self-assessments, will create the best representation of themselves. But to do that, we know it takes a bit of behavior change. We know brands want that data. All of our research has shown that psychographic information direct from the customer, which is part of that Forrester report that we first started on this track with, is obsessed with zero-party data, because that is the voice of the customer. So I think, Luke, at one stage, we even said that Profila will become the biggest focus group in the world. Should we get the scaling right, where brands bring their customers onto Profila, because we really want the voice of the individual to shine through. So one of the ZEKE utilities, which I'll jump over to Michiel first, just to explain a little bit more in detail, is around rewards on the platform. We have several different features where we'll give people rewards. But Michiel, just for the community, explain what a reward utility token is about.
Hey, just first doing an internet check. Can everybody still hear me?
Yeah, it's a little bit breaking up, but I'm sure we can get it through the stream.
Yeah, okay, good.
I don't think you heard your question, Sean.
Okay, did you get the question?
I heard your question. It's just my internet is breaking up a little bit, so I wanted to make sure everybody understands me. So yes, jumping into ZEKE. So there's two main functionalities for ZEKE. ZEKE is a payment token and a utility token. So first, I'll the utility token. We understand that they don't actively share it with brands. In the surveillance economy, it's scraped from you everywhere you go. And so we give you the tools to build up your personal information and to share it with brands, but that requires a little bit of your active involvement, meaning you have to keep your personal data up to date. You have to give information about you like, about your hobbies, about food, about travel. And so we designed the kind of Duolingo gamified experience that lets you build up your personal information and build up what you like about products and services. And so every time you fill out a quiz or you fill out a section of your personal profile, we incentivize you with ZEKE. It's like a bit of a point system. We game token supply. So 500 million ZEKE tokens, 30% is reserved for a user incentive pool. User incentive pool is users who are active on the platform. So every month we make an assessment of all the activity that you did in the quizzes, and you will then get distributed a specific amount of ZEKE for your activity within the platform, and anything to do with what you like in your life. And then the second way of earning ZEKE in the platform is by interacting with brands. So Profila is made for you to be able to share with brands your personal information, and for brands to then share with you personalized content. A brand will pay you for your data. So in the beginning of an interaction with a brand, they will send you a data subscription asking you for specific information about you. They might want to know your name, your address, your gender, your email address. They might want to know what you like about their products or what you like about the sector that they operate in. And when you accept that data subscription, a brand will pay you for your data. And so if a brand would pay you $1 for your data, it's split in principle 50-50, 50 stays with Profila and 50 is paid out in ZEKE towards the individual, towards you. Then a brand has access to your personalized information. They will know which channel you want to use to communicate. They will know better how frequent you want to be communicated with. And they also know better what kind of products and services that you like from them. So a brand will be able to send you way more personalized ads or brand content than they would be able to do in a social media platform like Facebook or Instagram. And when a brand pays Profila, let's say again, $1 to send you a personalized ad, 50 to 90% of that dollar for your data and the payment for your attention while you're watching personalized ads that are specifically tailored to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Michiel. We caught about 80% of it. So I think for the community who was able to patch it together there, we've got a utility and a payment, to summarize what Michiel said. The utility is rewards for different actions that you take on the platform. And Luke will navigate us through now where some of the areas will be. And that means from our incentive pool, which was about 30% of the total supply, will be used to incentivize people to help you build that profiler that we mentioned in the beginning. That is the core asset of the platform. If the data quality is not good, if the data is not maintained, then it's less appealing to brands. And remember that data that is shared is only done privately, okay, and on your consent. So I think, Luke, let's jump into what some of the parts of the platform look like that people can actually get rewards for. Do a little introduction and I'll start sharing the screen for the audience.
Sure. So ZEKE is the circulatory system of Profila. It flows through every feature now, and as we think through future features and future mechanisms we want to build in, one of our first questions is, how will ZEKE flow through this? How can it be earned and how can it be burned? So it is simply the coin of the realm and the circulatory system of Profila. And so here you can see your main feed of information, and as we like to say to people, this looks like a social media feed, which is intentional because that's what people are used to. But the real core of this is two things. One, the content is only from the brands that you've let in the door. You are controlling your feed of information by accepting data subscriptions from brands, again, as Michiel and Sean talked about, and paid in ZEKE, which you can then use on the platform. So not only if a brand is bringing content into your feed, it's your choice, but also what kind of feed is because they've learned more about you. If a restaurant knows you're a vegetarian, they can send you campaigns specifically for vegetarians, and they can not clutter your feed with things for meat lovers, for instance. It's a simple example, but that kind of segmentation, both for them in terms of value for a brand, but also for you in terms of uncluttered, is hard to do anyplace else. On Instagram, you're getting every post from a brand, regardless of whether it's relevant for you. But now with the data subscription and zero-party data, the idea that what is in my head and what is my heart, a brand subscribing to that, to knowing more about me. And it's not creepy because I told them, and then be able to use that for my value. That's really the core proposition of Profila. A better relationship, based on a better data relationship, with ZEKE flowing through all of it. So for one of the main scenarios of earning ZEKE is the self-discovery quizzes, the zero-party data. So again, Sean mentioned about zero-party data, which is a Forrester term, which is a bit clunky, and I think we'll come up with something better for that. But it is more intimate data directly from an individual, shared openly and actively for their benefit. And a brand that has my zero-party data cannot use it for any other purpose besides serving me. So we have, close to 50 categories, I think, that have self-discovery quizzes. Not 50 now, but 50 in the list. 50 we're building quizzes for. We have quizzes, self-discovery quizzes, which are really worded differently than any quiz you've taken before because it's about you. The answers are yours for your value, and it gives somebody who subscribes to that part of your Profila better information. Let's say at a restaurant, my food and drink, my cuisine, my allergies and diets, the things that will give them information that they can use to delight me as a customer. And taking these quizzes earns ZEKE. We want to incentivize that because the more robust your profile is, the more valuable it is. And so one of our goals, I mentioned zero-party data is a very clunky term. In the future, it'll just be called your Profila. Your Profila will represent the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information about you, and you have full control over who has access to it. And that's the real core feature of Profila, and ZEKE flows through it. Here's a quiz right now. Anyone need to add anything to that?
No. So look, it's one of the cores, as I mentioned, is being able to update a data set. What's important is most people take surveys which are self-serving for a brand's purpose, like you've just visited them or they want to see what you think about their products. Very seldom do you ask yourself the question, well, what is my general automotive, habits or desires? And also in Profila, you keep the results. So as you can see here, once you've taken a survey, the data set gets added to your Profila so that over the years, you'll be able to see the changes in your own behavior and also in your own preferences. And that gives a very good, deep psychographic view of an individual. But for sure, this data set attached to your actions is what brands want. So I think if we get people, and you can see we're building a ZEKE kennel, so that's where you'll be able to hoard and store your ZEKE tokens, and we'll also be gamifying it. So in the first phase of the project, for people who sign up, they will be getting ZEKE tokens. For people who complete surveys, they will be getting ZEKE tokens, and also for people who engage with content in a good way. Will be getting ZEKE tokens. So we really believe, and sorry for updating their data, and also for voting for brands. So we'll publish this so that people can understand, the value of really being engaged on the Profila platform. But the other sections, Luke, of your personal data, it's really demographics that we capture. So keeping this up to date, like Michiel's just moved recently, and to be able to share with the brand the right address in one location has simple but very significant benefits. Just to highlight in this section, it's not linked to ZEKE right now, but we have a full implementation of Atala Prism and are updating to Identis for digital IDs. So at the moment, a user opts in and creates a digital ID, and we'll allow them in future to attach verified credentials from different sources. Also on the platform, a brand has a digital ID option, and then they can attach know your company details and verify credentials of their own. But we see a great future linked to data, and that's why I brought it up, is that Luke's got a design where you'll have many different personas of yourself with bundles of data that the industry needs. Luke, you want to talk a little bit around the principle of travel industry, for example, where we did research, and that a company only needs a certain set of data, but how do they access it? Is there a marketplace? And what could the future of that data look like?
Yeah. The current version of Profila really is based on the brand relationships you have now, the brands you're loyal to. But in the future, you want to discover new brands. So the idea is to package up an avatar, which could be semi-anonymous or anonymous, that includes maybe my age, my location, plus all the insights from my travel quizzes, and be able to put that as an avatar in a marketplace and have that match up with brands or companies or offers or products out there in our marketplace, and be able to get those offers potentially in a zero knowledge environment, if I wanted to, and be able to discover new things. Let's say you start a new hobby and you want to understand equipment and locations or other things that will help you kind of accelerate developing that hobby, archery, for instance. Be able to put an avatar in the marketplace and match up with those kind of companies and be able to discover them, and then potentially translate them into a data relationship later on. And those kind of services will probably burn some ZEKE in your wallet as well. So again, a lot of earning, a lot of burning scenarios in the future, and a lot of discovery. And what we like to say is that, Profila is about trust, building trust, because you have control. It's easier to trust a brand that you've consented to. And when we solve this problem, it will create new kinds of relationships, digital relationships that can't exist now because the trust doesn't exist. But now those sort of mechanisms and sort of interactions will be possible because both parties have control over their part of it.
Cool. So as a reminder then, the first part we've spoken about ZEKE's utility is rewards, and the primary focus for rewards out of the 30% incentive pool will be for people who create, maintain a good profiler. Okay, so that's not nudging you for the data because we want it. It's nudging you to create a profile which is valuable to the brands that you want to connect with on Profila. Because if you get that right, then they have the basic information to give you the best products and services. Remember, though, that this data is always private. You only consent through our data subscription process, which we discussed on another stream, and I'll touch on a little bit later, under ZEKE's payment utility. But for the core of the platform, we're really helping people to understand that your data is an asset. Everyone says it is. So why aren't you maintaining it? Profila is the place you go to maintain that asset and make it better and more valuable to the different industries that you engage with in your life. Makes sense to me, so I'm sure it makes sense to everybody out there. Luke, we've also got a cool part of the platform where there's different relationship archetypes. We will be incentivizing people to vote for brands because that is our call to action. Our business model is B2B2C. So we go to companies, we invite them on, they invite their customers to join up on Profila, and then we have a conversion to good customers. But on our own go-to-market, which is B2C to you as an audience, we'll be appealing to you to tell us who do you want a better relationship with. Luke, take us through some of the relationship types.
Sure. So Sean kind of summarized, a vote is the idea that I search for a brand and they're not currently on the platform. I can vote for them, which again is a signal for the brand, but also for us. And if that brand then joins the platform, you'll be notified, and then that data relationship can start along your terms. And we can use it for business development. We can go to those brands and say, hey, there are people here who want to be part of your one of your customers. Try it out with them. It's a nice low cost option for brands to come on. Connections and subscriptions. Connections are one way where you find a brand that's on the platform, and you're basically raising your hand and saying, I'm interested in a better relationship with you. And you can also, in that process of creating connection, give them access to a little bit of information, anonymous, maybe just a little bit of demographics, and you can also give them access to send you limited information. But that gives a signal to the brands that you're open for a data relationship, which means they can send you a data subscription offer, which details what information they want, the duration, and the remuneration that they're going to pay you for your data on a monthly basis. If you accept that, that brand now becomes a subscriber. Now that's a key concept that we often have to explain. In Profila, a brand subscribes to you. You know, you have what's valuable: your data, your mind, your wallet share. A brand subscribes to you, and that's based on consent. As you can see, the accept or decline a subscription offer. It's based on transparency, which means you could always go back in this view. You can see that and see exactly what you're sharing with them. And it's revocable. So consent, transparency, and revocability is the basis of a data relationship with a brand on Profila. Once a brand is a subscriber of yours, then they have the ability to learn more about you and then send much more targeted, relevant content to you via the feed. Yeah.
Thank you, Luke. So a next utility or a function of the ZEKE token is payments. We mentioned earlier the rewards from the incentive pool. The incentive pool is 30%, and out of there, we're incentivizing people to build a good profiler. This is the next step that Luke has just mentioned. When a brand comes onto the platform, they see the data set, the types, only the metadata about what's available, then they can offer you a data subscription. Okay, that data subscription will be paid by a brand in fiat currency. What we do in Profila is that fiat currency every month, once you've accrued your share, okay, because the brand has a right to access your data for a duration and purpose. They will set those terms. Once you accept, then once a calendar month goes past, you will accrue money that's being paid to Profila. And as Michiel mentioned in the beginning, the split starts at 50% and increases all the way up even to 80%, depending on the value of your data and the quality of the data, because we're continuously incentivizing you to keep it up to date and keep it relevant for the brand relationship. All opt-in and all only based on your consent. But when that cash comes in from the brand, we then would make a payment to purchase ZEKE, okay, from the market for the 50% that gets owed to you, or 60 or 70 or 80%. So that itself will help boost the economy of the ZEKE token and will help with buying pressure onto the token itself. So we have to make sure that the economy itself behind Profila is continuously fed with incoming purchase requirements, or buying pressure, as they call it. And in that case, you will then get a payout afterwards in the ZEKE token in your wallet, in your ROI wallet to start, and then you can do with it as you please. It's yours, it's your cash. You can then swap it out or keep it in ZEKE. We believe over time, from speaking to brands, though, that ZEKE will become a representation of how much brands value your data. So if you can show that I'm holding X number of ZEKE, or we'll still give you a ledger of how much ZEKE you've earned, then you will be more valuable to brands, okay? Because it is showing that, hey, you know, I've had many, many brands who are really interested in my data because I've either purchased from them or I'm a target customer and they're really interested in me. So we do believe that there's also a compelling reason to hold on to ZEKE as it also increases in value. So I think that system, and Michiel, maybe you want to talk through it again, just in different language, you know, which is we're feeding the system with buy pressure by every month. Every dollar that we receive for data gets split, converted into ZEKE, and paid out. Michiel.
Yeah, I hope my internet connection is better now. Sorry for that before. So yeah, we are tackling a $900 billion digital advertising industry, where for the moment those $900 billion are divided just over the large companies and stakeholders in the industry. So a model in the future where even a tiny fraction of those funds come to Profila, will be an enormous demand for ZEKE, because every dollar that flows to Profila gets split in two, and 50 to 90% is paid out in ZEKE. So as Sean explained, we will invoice Web2 companies in US dollars, in euros, in Japanese yen, everything that they're used to make the friction as low as possible to use us as an alternative social media platform or CRM platform to send personalized content and advertising to their consumers. They will be able to just link their credit card or pay us at the end of the month in cash. And at the end of the month, all of the advertising dollars that we market to buy the secondary from users out to Profila users. And so every month this will be a smart contract probably that just defines how much advertising was watched and viewed throughout the platform. We'll buy that amount and we'll distribute it in bulk to all the Profila users. And then here you can see in the wallet that you then have a ledger of every interaction you had with every brand, with then the exact dollar value that is linked to that. And then the ZEKE value as well, because you're being paid out in ZEKE.
Cool, thank you, Michiel. So yeah, an important point which Michiel now touched on is the second payment opportunity for ZEKE. So the first was you're receiving money from a brand for access to your data. The next is for when you engage with content. Okay, Brave started this, and it's been a great program as far as basic attention. But we're looking at advanced attention. So on Profila, we prefer it. If you decided to look at a piece of content, then we expect you to look at it. Otherwise, you're wasting the brand's dollar and you're wasting your own time. That's why we give away most of the ad revenue, which is unheard of in the industry. Okay, so we're almost incentivizing you to make sure that you don't just click through. And yes, people will ask, how is it going to be gamified? We have the tools in place to see if a user is just purely clicking through as fast as they can on the ads and not actually engaging with the content. And then we'll flag them, we'll approach them, and that will be reported. But the main thing is, if you've asked to see a piece of content and you look at it and you engage it and you click through because they've got your interest, then we've got two parties that are satisfied. Okay, the industry is currently happy with a couple of % click-through rate, and I'm not. At Profila, we're not, because the brands are wasting a huge amount of marketing dollars where they could be doing much more personalized marketing. Just imagine, and our North Star is that we want 100% click-through rate on content, because if Profila is the place you go to see one ad, that's cool. And it's totally up to you, because we've built in a preference center where you decide how much content you see. So it's not a case of this becoming another channel where brands are just going to flood you with 1 million ads. Not at all. You only see the valuable content. We don't even like calling it ads. We call it brand moments, because it is very different to just scrolling past very fast 100 ads. Luke, talk to us a little bit around Metronome, because I think it's important for the audience to understand that we have a counterintuitive model in place to make sure that you give us your attention to the brand.
Sure. Show me a Metronome screen so I can talk over that. Yes. Okay. So you enter into a data relationship with the brands. They know more about you. They know more what's in your head and your heart, and they can use that to target segment you and more relevant content for you in your control. But that may not be enough control. So the concept of Metronome, please keep the screen up, Sean, for Metronome. The concept of Metronome is for brand by brand or across my entire Profila. I can specify how much communication I want in a given period. And we put it in 3 buckets: exclusive content and experiences, new products and special offers, and then company information. And for each bucket, let's say for this brand specifically, I can say, you know what, I don't care about their company announcements or their social responsibility initiatives. I'm going to put company information down to 0. Therefore, that is enforceable in the contract in the platform. Rossi Sport will not be able to send me information about company information because I've said that's not something I'm interested in. Now, one, that's a superpower for myself that I have, and that's the kind of superpower we want to give to people. And that's a key concept, is these features are things that we want as human beings, and we want everybody to have them. But also, it's a great sentiment signal to the brands. If they run a campaign and they can see in their interface that metronome settings have been turned down after the campaign, they know they've done something wrong. You know, they know that somehow it's not resonating, and people are saying you're sending to me too much and it's not good enough. And I'm going to turn down the volume. I'm going to turn my knob a little bit. And that's a great signal for brands that they simply don't have right now, because since digital distribution is easy and cheap, there's no additional cost to spending it to a brand sending another email or putting another ad or another social media post. They can't measure the annoyance of people getting too much, because right now the only option is to keep going, following a brand on Instagram, or stop it, or keep getting the newsletter, or unsubscribing. And we believe in granular control. We want to give people superpowers, and metronome is the core of that. And this is just the first instance of metronome. And every feature we have in the future, we'll be thinking, first of all, not only how will ZEKE flow through a feature like some of the marketplace ideas we've talked about, but also is there an aspect of metronome when I put out my travel avatar? Let's say I only want 3 new companies to be able to contact me a week once I put an avatar out in the marketplace, because I don't want to get deluged with all sorts of unsolicited things from brands. I can decide that. So each of those features will have a metronome area where you always know you have a superpower to control the flow of information. And you'll expect that. You'll come to expect that is when we launch a new feature. Okay, what is my superpower? How can I control the flow in that new feature?
Oh, perfectly. Thank you. So I was speaking to an investor just the other day, and at every level of life, everybody somehow gets FOMO. And the worst thing is I've just bought a car and then I get 10 ads for a better car or a better offer or a better deal. We don't believe that the nudging algorithms on social media is good for people, because it changes behavior, it distracts your attention, but also it doesn't make you feel good. And everyone we've spoken to is, I still don't like to see content that's valuable to me and that's applicable to my life. So I think with metronome, if you've just purchased an item, you love that brand, and now how do I also switch to a different relationship type? So if I've just bought a BMW, don't show me more offers for BMWs on social or anywhere. Only show me the value adds that I can start to get from you as an automotive dealer to make my experience better. And that's a total mindset change, on Profila as a platform, where it is centered around you. And Luke always likes to say that you are the center of the universe. And like when you walk into a normal store and you say, I'm just browsing, I want to be left alone. If that's your choice on Profila, you can have nothing in this feed. Okay, and if you then decide, I'm now on a shopping spree and I want to purchase stuff, or I want to get a better relationship with my brand, then I can do so. And just as a reminder, every interaction that you make is also earning you some cash. Okay, but we never teach people that you're going to make a huge amount of money as an individual, but the economy itself will be significant. Okay, current click-through rates on advertising range anywhere from $1 to $3-4, depending on the industry. And that's the cost per click rate. That's what we charge for on Profila. We do not charge brands impressions, because that's just simply you scrolling past the content. Other platforms do that, but we feel it is a negative incentive. We only charge brands for the actual click when you've got some awareness and attention. That is also very fair to them, and we believe we will attract a different type of marketing. Today, you have, in marketing terms, the IDA model, which is awareness, interest, and then you cultivate a customer through to advocacy at the end, which after they make a decision. So in Profila, we're not an awareness channel. If you want awareness, go out to the big wide world and to the dirty internet and attract customers to know your brand. Then as soon as they're interested, the next step, bring them to Profila, which is a private space for you to build a relationship. Okay, then it becomes intimate. You get to know your customer. They will share more data with you under our smart contract format, so that your data is always safe. and then you'll get compensated. Okay, so we're getting similar concepts to Brave, but researchers actually classified us, and this is University of Madrid, is they've classified Brave as a passive zero-knowledge platform, because they do your searching and they use the search context to give that information to brands privately, which is fantastic. But brands can still decide, well, if you like a BMW, I'm still going to advertise an Audi to you. Okay, they've got that right to do that. But in Profila, the professors termed it active zero knowledge, because you as a person are actively telling the brand what you want to see and not see. Okay, and through that protocol, we believe that ZEKE will have a lot more significance and a lot more value. Okay, being a Brave user for many years, I love the platform, but the payouts aren't, substantive for my time and attention. We believe that ZEKE payouts will be much more substantive. Also because as a company, we're not trying to over monetize ourselves, the actual data and ad revenue. That's why 50 to 80% is going through to the individual. So we really are a facilitator of this new relationship. Mitchell, I'd like you just to tell the audience here, and Mitchell does a lot of our setup for the brands and brand trials. How long does it take you to set up a brand and send a first campaign? I just want to give a sense of how simple it'll be for an SME or a larger company to set themselves up on Profila.
Well, from the moment that you get to the sign-up page as to when you're creating your first campaign, I think you could do it in 4 minutes, roughly, if you already have the image ready.
You're fast. I was thinking like 15,
20
minutes or someone new, but you've been doing it a lot. So that's great anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely do it in less than 5. So
that's amazing. And I don't think there's many platforms that do that. In the team, the core team, we've had advisors from the ad tech industry. We really do understand what the advertising market is looking like. But the phase 1 of Profila, as Mitchell just described, it is a walled garden environment, okay, which means end to end, you can deal with your customer just on Profila. But we see that's value growing beyond that, is that the basics of CRM are built into Profila because your customer is owning and maintaining the data set for you. So in the future, CRMs and CDPs will become less and less relevant. Because again, as Luke likes to say, over time, your data in a CRM becomes dead and outdated and less relevant because people change and people adapt. So Profila will be the only true evergreen source of data, because when we incentivize people to update their data properly, and they're incentivized by the brand because they're receiving the best value, then you've got the perfect match. Okay, so this will become a replacement, we believe, in the longer term for outdated CDPs. So it's an interesting concept for a lot of companies, because a lot of companies like to hug and own their data. But also, when we've spoken to bigger brands, and maybe Luke, you can talk to the example of a big hotel chain, why they were interested in even using Profila as a data cleansing process. Luke, are you with us?
It seemed like it dropped for a second there. Did you ask me a question?
Yeah, it was just the hotel example that we're interested in trialing with Profila, and how they would see using our data as a data quality process.
Yeah, and it's threefold. It's first of all the basic demographics and contact information that most likely I could have put in their system 10 years ago when I signed up for some sort of loyalty reward program. So that's good that they have the right basic information, because I have no incentive to go to their websites and update it myself, because I'd have to do that for every brand in my life. Second is the insights, just from my travel quizzes, for instance, about the kind of traveler I am, and then kind of big picture. And then the third part are the specific answers to specific questions that they can basically have essentially a fact sheet. If I book a hotel in Denmark, when I arrive, they have information about how to delight me. The kind of food I like to eat when I'm staying in someplace, or what I like to have in the minibar, or where I like to have my room. High floor, away from the elevator, those sort of things. Those sort of micro preferences that are very difficult for a brand to get but those are the things that I usually judge a hotel on. So they then have a chance to delight me because they know more about me because of a Profila data relationship.
Perfect. Thank you, Luke. So I think to summarize this call, and we'll have another live stream where we show more of the brand interface, because this is the individual or the person's interface. We're trying hard to get rid of the word user because it's not a nice word to use. But as a summary, Profila has two functions for ZEKE. One is utility and one is payment. The utility is a reward mechanism to help people build better quality data sets and to join the platform and to invite brands to Profila. So 30% of our token pool is allocated to these incentives so that we can grow the user base, which also helps brands to get excited about the platform. So that is, we think, a very generous way of giving people ZEKE. Instead of just a lazy airdrop or something in participation, here you're actually doing work for yourself in building out your best asset, okay, which is your own data set, and you're getting incentivized for it. And then the second is payment. There's two payment mechanisms at the moment. One is the data subscription, which is a smart contract on ZEKE, and you will receive an NFT in your Roy wallet once that process is implemented and you actually get your payouts monthly. To do that, we take fiat currency from the brands, we purchase ZEKE on the market, and we pay you out your share. Okay, so that does stimulate buy pressure and price increase pressure on the ZEKE token, okay, which is very good for any investor who is looking at the token outside of the ecosystem here. And the second is for your attention. So that's for data, and the second is for attention. Attention is, like you're seeing here, I engage in a piece of content. And there are different actions which will incentivize over time, but the primary is the click-through. So do you like what you've seen from this brand? If you do, we'll have rewards and different triggers linked to any of your normal interactions. But if you actually click through and you follow that brand's content, then you have a much better opportunity to earn. We'll prevent gamification of that by people just going through and clicking, because we can understand from the brand, was this a target customer? Was there a conversion from this ad spend to a real customer? Also on the platform, we haven't announced much, but for those at the beginning, we have digital IDs per user and brand as options. But in future, once we're paying people out over a certain amount, they will have KYC requirements so that we can prove to brands that these are real people. Okay, so we'll prevent any bots and so on from being able to join the platform. That's the biggest liveness check that we can give. But I think as for today, Michiel, Luke, or Mitchell, is there anything final that you want to add around the value of ZEKE? We do believe it's a improvement on what's out there from other data and attention tokens, because it consolidates both, transfers most of the wealth to the individual, and it's creating a fundamentally new data ecosystem. Michiel.
Yeah, I think we're all hooked on social media platforms where we spend a lot of time, but often we forget that there's billions of dollars flowing through those platforms because you're watching brand content, because you're watching ads, and none of that goes to you. And we're maybe also forgetting that initially these platforms, and that's what Luke often says, these platforms were for another half of the content that I'm seeing is adverts. So none of the money is going to you, and you also don't have much control of how much of it is displayed on your feed. And so I think that's really something that we're trying to change, and where we're using ZEKE as an incentive and a payment, is to make sure that you're getting a cut of the pie, you're getting a piece of the pie, and that you are able to control what you actually see. And if you don't want to see anything, it should be possible to not see anything, whereas that doesn't exist in social media. The link with the social media platform Profila and another social media platform in Profila link, because social media platforms is where today you are served adverts or brand content, often against your will.
Thank you, Michiel. Luke, any final words of encouragement for our obsessive community?
I've said everything that I wanted to say today. I have
Awesome.
nothing left to add.
Mitchell.
Yeah, likewise, I think you guys explained the coin really well, displayed some of the platform, and I'm sure anyone that's watching this live or in the recording that has any questions can reply directly to the clip or reach out to one of us.
Perfect. The last thing to add for those who are watching, and we'll hang on for a minute or two if there's any questions. But platform, or the Profila platform, was not designed just for advertising. Okay, that is our first use case. Your data is valuable to many other industries, as Luke explained. So we've done a year and plus research into clinical trials, into patient records, into how do I have a conversation with my banker, with a lawyer, and the data exchange process is the same. So the evolution of Profila is going to be, if I need to share data, with a company and they want to send me back information through a PDF, through a video explainer as a support process, that is all going to be possible in the evolution of Profila. We started with marketing to tackle that because that is where the root cause of the privacy challenge is. Okay, and there is also a great opportunity to disrupt. As Michiel said, there's a huge amount of cash being spent in that market. So we want to go into that space, disrupt it, but then the evolution of Profila is into different industries where you can decide, how do I share information with my employer, with my doctor, as I just mentioned. And all of those industries put different value onto your data set that is accurate. So there is a long road ahead of us as far as the different revenue sources that could be pulled into Profila, all linked to the ZEKE token. So with that, we're going to be doing a lot more of these live streams. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. we'll be doing a similar one to this. But during the week and next week, we'll be diving deeper into what do these numbers actually look like. So what are brands paying? What is the click-through rates or CPCs that brands are actually being charged? So what cash could I actually see coming through ZEKE to an individual user? We'll take a specific use case in a specific industry, but it will give your minds, the information that it needs to realize that when we scale this platform, and it's been designed and programmed to scale up to the size of the Instagrams and Facebooks, because it has that type of revenue model, and we've designed it capability-wise in the same way to be able to scale endlessly. So we thank you for your attention. 143 of you have given us your attention, and we thank you very much for that. And we hope to reward you with a very, very good platform that we believe will have an impact not only on the Cardano community and adoption, because this will be one of the best real-world use cases built on Cardano, in our opinion, that can really bring attention to our lovely community. Thank you all, and have a great day.